If you are shopping for an e-bike right now, there is a good chance you are asking one simple question. Will this be legal where I live? This confusion has very little to do with how an e-bike looks. It comes down to speed, throttle behavior, and how much control the rider keeps. And today we are talking what actually makes an e-bike legal, why these rules exist, and how the three-class e-bike system fits into real-world riding. By the end, you will know which e-bike matches your local laws and your riding style. Let's get started. Electric bikes sit in a unique space. They look like bicycles, but they move faster, weigh more, and behave differently in a crash. Once e-bikes started selling in large numbers, lawmakers had to respond. In 2022 alone, more than 1.1 million e-bikes were sold in the United States, and that growth continues every year. With that rise came a clear trend. Emergency rooms began to see more e-bike injuries, and those injuries were often more severe than traditional bicycle crashes. Data shows more than 20,000 e-bike-related injuries occur each year in the US, with around 3,000 riders requiring hospitalization. Head injuries remain the most common outcome, and helmet use is still surprisingly low. Only about one-third of injured riders were wearing helmets at the time of their crash. Speed plays a huge role here, which is why speed limits sit at the center of e-bike laws. So when we talk about e-bike legality, we are really talking about risk. Lawmakers are trying to balance access, safety, and shared space. That balance is what created the e-bike class system. At the federal level, the US sets a basic definition. An e-bike must have working pedals. The motor cannot exceed 750 watts, and the bike cannot provide motor assistance beyond defined speed limits. Under this definition, e-bikes are not motor vehicles, which keeps them accessible to more people. But federal law does not decide where you can ride. That decision happens at the state and local level. Most states now use the three-class system. Understanding these classes is the first step in figuring out whether an e-bike is legal for how and where you want to ride. States handle trail access, road use, helmet rules, and age limits. Cities can add their own rules on top of state law. That is why one e-bike can be fully legal in one city and restricted in the next. As e-bikes evolve, these regulations continue to change, which makes understanding classification even more important. And there are three-class systems that separate e-bikes based on how the motor works and how fast it assists. These details decide where the bike fits legally and how it should be used. Let's talk about them. Class 1 e-bikes provide pedal assist only, and that assistance stops at 20 miles per hour. There is no throttle. From a legal and safety perspective, this class is the least controversial. The rider must pedal at all times, which keeps speed and engagement under control. Because of this, Class 1 e-bikes are widely accepted on bike paths, shared use trails, and even mountain bike trails in many states. States like California, Colorado, Utah, and Washington allow Class 1 e-bikes on many public trails, with some local exceptions. If you plan to ride on trails, parks, or mixed-use paths, Class 1 is often the safest legal choice. Class 2 e-bikes introduce throttle power. These bikes can move under motor power alone, but assistance still cuts off at 20 miles per hour. This class appeals to riders who want help at intersections, on hills, or during long commutes. From a legal standpoint, Class 2 bikes raise more questions because throttle use allows instant acceleration without pedaling. Many states still allow Class 2 bikes anywhere. Class 1 bikes are allowed, especially on roads and bike lanes. Trail access is more mixed and often decided locally. If your riding includes urban commuting with frequent stops, Class 2 can make sense. If you ride primarily on trails, checking local throttle rules is important. Class 3 e-bikes are designed for speed. These bikes provide pedal assist up to 28 miles per hour. Throttles are either not allowed or limited to 20 miles per hour. The higher assisted speed makes Class 3 bikes excellent for road commuting, especially where bike lanes exist. That same speed is why Class 3 bikes face more restrictions. Many states prohibit them from shared paths and trails unless explicitly allowed. California allows Class 3 bikes on roads and bike lanes, but trail access depends on local approval. Florida recognizes all three classes statewide and sets a minimum age of 16 for Class 3 riders. New York enforces stricter helmet requirements and separates e-bikes from electric scooters. Not every state uses the three-class system. Some states define e-bikes by wattage and top speed alone. Others group faster e-bikes with mopeds or motor-driven cycles. In states like Massachusetts, Alaska, and New Mexico, certain e-bikes may require licensing or registration depending on how they are classified. This variation is why checking state and city laws before buying is essential. The same e-bike can be legal in one state and regulated like a motor vehicle in another. Age requirements vary widely. Some states allow e-bike use at any age. Others require riders to be 14, 15, or 16, especially for faster classes. Helmet laws follow a similar pattern. Safety data strongly supports helmet use, especially at higher speeds. Standard bicycle helmets are designed for speeds up to 20 miles per hour. For Class 3 riding, many experts recommend helmets rated for higher impact speeds. Another key part of e-bike legality is modification. Many e-bikes can be unlocked to exceed legal speed limits. Once those limits are bypassed, the bike may no longer qualify as an e-bike under the law. At that point, it can be treated as an unregistered motor vehicle. That matters during traffic stops, insurance claims, and accident investigations. If staying legal matters to you, leaving factory limits intact is critical. So how do you choose the right e-bike? Start by asking where you ride most. Trails and parks usually point toward Class 1. Urban commuting with stops often fits Class 2. Longer road commutes favor Class 3. Then check your state and local laws for age limits, helmet rules, and access restrictions. Matching your riding style to the right class avoids problems later. E-bike laws are still evolving, but the logic behind them is clear. Speed changes risk, throttle changes control. Understanding those factors helps you choose a bike that fits both your lifestyle and your local rules. When you match your e-bike to the law instead of fighting it, riding becomes simpler, safer, and more enjoyable. And that is exactly how e-bikes were meant to be used.